Here, amidst the once quiet streets and lanes of Appomattox Courthouse, Lee Grant and their tired armies enacted one of the great dramas in America's history. This is the fourth appearance of the Joneses. Welcome everyone to Tigner Adventures. We are at the Appomattox, did I say it right?
Yes.
Courthouse. It's a historic site, U.S. Forest Service, or no, U.S. National Park Service. And so we're gonna check this all out. This is where Lee Grant, actually, Al, why don't you tell the story? I think you know more about it than I do.
This is where Lee surrendered to Grant, which was the Confederacy surrendering to the Union forces there during the Civil War.
Near Lynchburg, Virginia.
So we're gonna go check out all these little houses and the courthouse. So, well, this is actually a big complex. There's a lot here, just looking through all this. So this will be fun. Okay, so we're coming into the museum. A little bit of everything documented here.
They were all confident the Union was about to win the Civil War at last. But then, when they did, what should they do with the former Confederates?
Let them all go, officers and all. I want no more bloodshed. We want those people to return their allegiance to the Union.
Abraham Lincoln's wishes would be carried out in one of the pivotal events in all of American history. The surrender at Appomattox.
This is a picture of Lee and Grant both signing the Articles of Surrender. So the interesting thing I thought about this whole ordeal was that President Lincoln was adamant that all the soldiers from the South would be allowed to leave and become just normal citizens of the United States, that they weren't going to be prisoners of war or anything. They were all released with pardons and had to live up to those. They had to state that they were agreed to those terms, but that was the best way to bring the nation all together. It's interesting, we just got done watching the movie. I didn't realize that President Lincoln was assassinated right after that. After President Lincoln was assassinated, it was important that the country didn't retaliate. The North didn't retaliate against the South and everything. So those were really definitely trying times for our United States. And they do a really good job depicting it here at this National Historic Site. These are the stairs that they would have to walk up to get to see the judge up in the second floor of the courthouse here. And the bottom floor was the offices of the court. This big building over here was the jail.
Just want to welcome you to Appomattox Courthouse, National Historical Park. My name is Miles Abernathy. I'll be leading you on the tour today. Just want to thank you for visiting our park. It means a great deal to me, it means a great deal to all of our staff. And I always say that when you're visiting Appomattox or Yosemite or Ellis Island, when you visit your national parks, you're following in a great American tradition. So my tour today will be about 35 minutes long. I spend half of it in front of the Clover Hill Tavern, just right under that tree, and then the back half in an area we call the Grove. There's some seating over there. Hopefully it's dried out a little bit by now. Otherwise, it's a really nice view shed of some of the of fields off there, about the military situation. I'll be talking about several different aspects today during this program. We talk about the history of the village. How does Appomattox come to be? Why is it here in Virginia? I'll be talking about the history of that last week of the Civil War here in Virginia. How did the Federal and Confederate armies actually get to this part of the Commonwealth? And throughout my program, I'll be talking about some interesting stories of black and white residents here in Appomattox Courthouse and their wartime experiences. So they have the stagecoach service, and they're stopping at this tavern almost daily, multiple stages a day. And I like to call this the 19th century Buc-ee's. You can get everything you need here at the Clover Hill Tavern. Road to Appomattox begins about 9 months before the armies arrive here. In July of 1864, General Ulysses S. Grant has taken over overall command of all the federal forces across the South, but he's attached himself to the main federal army here in Virginia, the Army of the Potomac, and he's besieging the city of Petersburg, about 80 miles to our east. For the United States Colored Troops, April 9th is a red letter day. I can't think of anywhere else in the Civil War where USCT troops play such a crucial role in blocking or defeating some sort of Confederate plan. They blocked Lee's escape from here. And then in the decades after Appomattox, African Americans across the country, north and south, are looking to commemorate these events in their lives. There's a great op-ed from the Richmond Planet. It's one of the largest black newspapers in the South at the end of the 19th century, and it's asking all these local leaders, when should emancipation be commemorated? Some are saying it should be January 1st, 1863. We should commemorate the Emancipation Proclamation. Some are saying we should commemorate June 19th, what we now know is the holiday of Juneteenth today. Last Opinion says it should be April 9th, 1865. Obviously, it means a great deal to black Virginians. It means a great deal to those United States Colored Troops that were crucial in the final victory here. And I think the last line of this op-ed sums up a lot of what African Americans are thinking about when they think about Appomattox, when they look to attach themselves to it. It says in part that I am wholly in favor of celebrating April 9th, because it was there that the monster of slavery was finally hunted down and killed beneath the apple trees of Appomattox. Thank you all so much.
When you're in school, well, at least when I was in school, we studied the Civil War and the significance of it and everything. Of course, you know, as school kids, we didn't really care and didn't really pay attention, or at least I didn't do the job of paying much attention to any of my schooling. But it's kind of interesting when you're actually back here in person. You know, it starts bringing a lot of these things to light that you just didn't really pay attention to when you were a kid. You know, how all of this really, you know, made us what we are today. So this was the tavern that the stagecoach came by. Had all the good stuff in it. Let's see what's here, what we get to see.
Oh, this is where they printed the...
Oh, interesting. Yeah, I called it pardons, but it was parole documents. They printed them here, hung them up. So there's them hanging them up right there. And so every person in Lee's army, you know, was issued one of these and had to swear not to take up arms against the U.S. Well, the thing I thought was pretty interesting
it was
is
the black people that won it.
Yeah.
That's what I would say.
The thing I found interesting is that Lee and Grant was exchanging, you know, documents and, you know, letters and things way before the actual end. So, I mean, Lee pretty much knew what was coming, and Grant did too. I mean, they knew the end was coming, so it would have been tough to be trying to lead your men and still know that you were kind of fighting a losing battle at that point, for sure. So this is the McLean house right here. This is where the two generals met together to sign the papers of the surrender. So as we walk up to this building and just think back, you know, how historic that time was, that's pretty sombering. I mean, there's a lot of things going on here, and can you imagine how the different people fought or felt? Because, I mean, you're fighting against each other for a way of life, and then to realize that that way of life is changing. And so now how is this going to affect your family and everything as you go forward? Right, here is the famous room right here. Picture right here. This is the parlor where Lee and Grant met. And would work the details out of the surrender. So, quite interesting. So this is out the back of the house. These are the slave quarters. One of the interesting things that's a little different, this particular area compared to over where the big cotton plantations and things were, was there was hundreds of slaves over there that would work the fields and everything. Here, and this town and the houses around here and that, these are just individual families, and they may have just one slave or 5 slaves or 6 slaves or something like that, but you know, they had small number of slaves to help them out around their family. And it's kind of like the different people now hiring nannies, you know. The difference was that in a lot of cases they didn't want to pay them, so that was kind of what the slave quarters. So you know, that's why they liked the whole idea. You know, people with money didn't want to part from it, and so they would give these individuals a place to live, but they had to do all this work, and they control them. So it's a concept that's so hard to really comprehend. So anyway, I'm sure glad that we prevailed in that Civil War. That would have been a whole different type of a way to grow up than what we grew up in. Well, these grounds are massive, and we don't have our bikes. So, but I mean, it's a town, so it's a big town. So a lot here and a lot of history. It's just an interesting area, and you know, really back east you get a lot of this type stuff because this is where it all happened. Look at all these houses out through here. This is the Isbell house out there. Just, yeah.
Shotgun houses, breeze going through.
So they build them skinny and tall like that, mainly for the heat. So
They said it was economical because
it was
the
more
beams
economic.
had to be so long.
Oh, okay. So it's more economical to build the houses so skinny compared to all strung out because of the beams and things like that, the wood they had to use. Look! There's Alan, Janine, and Otis. Hi, Otis. Hi, Otis. Well, that's quite a bit of information that we have learned today. So
200 years ago.
So Al, you said you've been here 3 times now, huh?
Yep.
And you probably you keep learning new things all the time, right?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, so anyway, it's pretty cool, and we're in the South where all the history kind of happened, so it's kind of fun seeing all these different things. So
But we didn't get the heat today. We got the cold.
yeah, man, it is a cold day. I
It's a
am
little
just shivering
brisk.
like crazy. So anyway, well, hey, just want to tell everybody thanks for coming along with us today. Thanks, Al and Janine, for bringing us over here and
Otis.
show us. Oh, and Otis, say hi, Otis. Yep.
He's a cutie.
So anyway, we'll just say our goodbyes and hope to see you down the road somewhere. And if not in person, then on our next video. So take care.
Bye.
Bye.